Hi guys, welcome to Transits and Tactics. Oh my God, I do not like this transit that I'm about to describe because I have a completely open emotional center and we're dealing with the energy that is activating the emotional center. Plus, it's one of the most volatile and polarizing emotional energies out there. So this week, expect the unexpected waves of, outbursts or maybe emotional turmoil coming out from out of the blue. I'm feeling teary with for no reason whatsoever for it, or the next moment, it's good, everything is good. So there is these waves, and to be honest with you, I was thinking long and hard, why do we have these energies, right? So researching about the gates and like to try and see what's going on because it's just not fun to be feeling like this. And I understand with my openness in this whole emotion departments, emotions are not natural to me. I mean, I experience them, but they don't come from me. So they're still like alien things. They come in and then, they get amplified, especially when you're not aware, when you're not emotionally intelligent, which I think over the course of my life I had to be because otherwise you're just spilling it all out into the universe, and at people around you as well. And this is the kind of transit that can be very volatile like this. So let's talk about this gate. The gate is actually itself is a wonderful gate, the gate known as the gate of spirit. And under this influence, you can feel extremely fulfilled, really, heightened emotions. You can be very you can feel so in touch with life, with your purpose, so free. And I know that in the past, as I was watching the transits already, there was a specific transit in my life personally that was really, really poignant and the clarity, and it was really, really good energy. Now, this year, fast forward to, it's a completely opposite experience. So, with the emotions running high or low, it is possible to feel like you have no purpose, that you are empty, and feel like you're a victim to something. And this is a really important energy because when you're feeling like this, when you're feeling dissatisfied, you're feeling that there's, a bit of a like, oh, the world is happening at me at the moment. Why is it here? And that was the question that bothered me because, I want to take action on things. I don't really like waiting. In my design, I'm a splenic projector, so I am kind of okay to act on the, momentary knowledge, and my sense is action as well. But with this energy, you can't. You can't act on the emotions. The emotions are the most powerful, raw force. And this is why in the hierarchy of human design authorities, the emotional authority always comes first. If you have an emotional center defined, and Anita, you have emotional center defined,
Yeah.
this is your authority. You are dealing with these emotional waves all the time, whether you choose it or not. It's just what it is, so you have to wait them out. And I think that this period for the rest of us is showing the importance of waiting for clarity, and
Mm.
through that waiting, you're creating shifts. You're starting to see, you're learning something about yourself, something meaningful. It becomes very obvious where you stand with certain things, and that can make you feel really upset, or make you feel more open to these lows, but you don't want to stay there, right? So you can create shifts and watch people around you. There's things and situations can come up, and that just acts as a, as a trigger in a way to shift you into something else. So this is not the period, although we're waiting for emotional clarity, but this is the period where we can start making those changes in our lives, at least making decisions. If you don't want to act on it, you can still make decisions, that around whatever is going on. So it's interesting, just if you are feeling like I am feeling all over the place, it's okay. It's only 6 days, right? The energy will pass. So waiting it out, unless your authority, like what happened to me last year, actually in 2024, the authority is a big yes. And it's nothing to do with emotions. It's just the knowledge. We all have this sense of when to know when things are correct. So wait a little bit, and beauty can happen, especially that we have the grounding energy of earth is in gate 59, and it's known as the gate of sexuality, but it's not just about sexuality. It's about togetherness, right? And it's about creating something. It's about starting something new. The gate of sexuality is about, creating children, starting businesses, creating partnerships. It's about intimacy and it's about connection. And so there is a lot can be happening in your relationships. And when we talk about relationships, yes, it can be romantic life. And in fact, that big event happened to me in 2024 was meeting my now husband, Jim. And I remember being very, very aware of this transit and saying, Jim, just be careful. Just be careful. Let's just not like say that we're falling in love just in case, because of all these energies, they can feel, they can kind of, you know, knock you off your feet. But if you enter relationships correctly, if you are not following your emotions, but you're following your strategy and authority, amazing things can start like with this like a child can be conceived, right? Amazing things can be conceived right now. So and also I think that it's also the time to be really honest with yourself because of this influence of intimacy and these extreme emotions. And sometimes, when you open up, you can also flip a really bad kind of, emotional situation. You can just laugh it off and see how actually it was nothing really, that important, but it just felt. It's all about feelings. When we're dealing with emotions, it's really important to remember it's feelings. Feelings will pass. Allow yourself to feel it. You don't have to take action on it. Easier said than done, right? And then if you have the harmonious gate 39, I know my daughter has that, that activates the whole channel of emoting. And the channel of emoting, it is about expressing your emotions and smooth swings and everything. It can happen, but you can unintentionally provoke with your gate of provocation, 39. You can completely innocently provoke others emotional reaction. So if you do have gate 39 right now, maybe the transit activated in your chart, it can happen. Wait it out. Again, wait it out. It's an overwhelming period, but it can be transformative as well because we're dealing with the provocation reveals something that maybe is unresolved, and it's time. And I can definitely see certain themes, for example, in my life right now. And I was saying, oh, I don't like this because they're negative. They're things that were not resolved, and I was brushing them under the carpet for all this time. And this transit comes along. This specific one says, nope, you cannot deal with this. Something needs to shift, and we will put you through emotional hell. But you have to make decisions and you have to, see what doesn't work. So we're learning to let go as well. Let go and stop grabbing on to what doesn't serve. Actually, if you're a generator type, generators, manifesting generators, there's a little bit of a, guilty pleasure in holding on to what doesn't serve you for way too long. And that can cause a lot of resistance and frustration. So this is a good period. See it as a good period. And I will see it as a good period, even though it doesn't feel right at the time. It doesn't feel enjoyable. But you know what? I'm going to leave this little summary with one thing. I truly believe you cannot understand what beautiful is if you don't know what ugly looks like. So if you're in a very low, horrible emotional state, see it as a good thing. This is the point of contrast. So the only way is up. Anita, how are you? You have this energy in your chart permanently. So how are you
I
feeling?
love this energy. I feel sorry for those with open emotion this week, though, or open emotion center, because there's three channels defined in the chart by the transits alone. The emotion center to the throat, emotion center to the sacral, and emotion center. Oh no. Oh yeah, there's two. Sorry. I have the third one, the 3955. So that's two big emotional energies. Tribal energy, war energy, actually, sacral
Yep.
to war or peace is the sacral to the emotion center. And then are we the 35, 36? Well, are we in crisis or are we in the adventure of the change, right? So, but with the open emotion center, you take in the emotional energy around you and amplify it. So it's very variable for you. It's very scary, I would say.
Yep.
Uh, to me, because you don't know what's coming at you. This is where your personal practice is so important because you know what your balance is. So you immediately can question, hang on, is that even my emotion or not? Because that immediately can help you just not identify with the emotion and just clear it in a way. So if you need any tips, tools, or whatever, this is what I teach my clients to do. Learn how to manage your emotional intelligence or your emotional savvy. And, at the moment, like we're awash, no pun intended, with emotion because we have the sun has just moved into Pisces, which is a water sign. Water is the emotion. Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio. So Saturn is there, Neptune is there, the sun is there, the North Node is there. What we're seeing with this is that whether we like it or not, we're energetic beings. And this energy moves in different ways through us, and how we process it is based on our design. But these energies are the energies of letting go. The sun is coming in and saying, okay, I'm going to highlight where you need to let go, but we're letting go emotional attachment to situations, to people that are holding us stuck in potentially miserable situations. Now, on the other side, well, I could go through I could speak about this for the week. So the other side is Mars is still retrograde in Cancer. Cancer is also another water sign, and it's about safety. It's about feeling safe at home, feeling safe in your relationships, feeling safe in your beginnings. But Mars is out of bounds. So what we're looking at here is old childhood stuff is being triggered. Old unresolved things are being triggered. And what can happen is we feel the emotion and we misplace it. We place it on something that's happening in front of us. So your neighbors might be making noise next door, or the builders might be banging out the back at 6 o'clock in the morning when they're not supposed to start. And so things, you'll be overly emotionally triggered than normal, but
May
very
I
much.
may I just interrupt you very quickly because I did read that this is a very acoustic gate 55.
Yeah.
So this can happen what you're describing. So guys,
Oh,
if you do have noisy neighbors or something else, they acoustically you can be triggered. So just be aware of that. Awareness is powerful.
absolutely. You might even have tinnitus this week because there's so much going on with the hearing, right? But also what's important with this energy is it's a huge manifesting energy.
Yes.
So if you look at it, like 50% um of the survey population of human design have a defined emotion center. And what this gate tells you, when you're in the emotional state, you're actually in the victim of this energy. You can provoke people to have emotional reactions, but you can also promote emotional clearing or provoke emotional clearing so that you're free of the emotion and are now clear to make the decision and connect with your decision strategy. So it's very powerful energy, one way or another. You're not going to get away with it. There's a lot of triggers around the world where, the childhood stuff would have been what happened so that stopped you from shining when you were a kid. Now, loads of things happened. None of them bad, some of them bad. It really depends on your childhood. But it might just have been the teacher telling you to shut up. Or it might have been your parents, you might have been doing something for the first time, feeling really scared, and your parents going, don't worry, you'll be fine. And you're there with this big energy inside you going, it doesn't feel fine. And you start to mistrust. You start to mistrust the parent and but even something as simple as that can jam your emotions. And I love to look at this in a circuit, with your electricity. I mean, this is energy. How our energy flows through our body determines our flow and how we're connecting with decisions to bring in prosperity into our lives. When you break a circuit, it's like flicking off a switch, the light goes off. But when the light goes off, we're emotionally triggered, right? And the emotion is telling us. Each emotion tells us an action we need to take to get back in balance. But if we don't know that, we run away with the emotion and suddenly our day is ruined. Or because and most of the time, I might be angry about the fly on the wall, but actually, I'm putting the anger into my work instead.
Yes.
So now I'm blocking my work. Like I'm making a decision through the emotion instead of through my yes. And but the other side of this energy is a super freedom, super energy. It's called the channel of is it called the channel of abundance or the channel of emoting?
It's called the channel of emoting.
That's
But
a
I
50.
think that the gate 55 sometimes is referred as the gate of abundance.
I'm feeling it is because this. energy is teaching us that, listen, you can take all the actions you like. If they're not connected to your energy flow or your yes, those actions might just, you know, mightn't work or may not get the results that you want because they're not connected. So it's like trying to shake the light, trying to get it lighting without flicking the switch, right? And I'm seeing it now with business coaches, with marketing coaches going, we told them what to do, and everybody is out there taking the actions that they're supposed to take, but they're disconnected from spirit. So the element of manifesting spirit is the number one. And when your energy is connected to your decision and your action, that's when you're in your prosperous flow. And that's when the results happen, as opposed to doing things for the sake of doing them and doing, doing things, doing the same thing, expecting a different result because it's the fear that's driving it. If that makes sense. Does that make sense? Or
Yeah, it makes total sense. Um, I really loved you were talking about getting emotional clarity and making a decision, understanding emotionally, not making a decision and taking action, but actually finding that emotional clarity with letting go of something. You were talking about that earlier. And I find that this is where the key is. The key is not about, acting on these emotions. This is why we're asked to wait. But as we're waiting, things become so clear. And sometimes you can just detach, and this is what you were specifically talking about. Detach from the emotions within your decision. But the emotions will reveal the areas where you need to assess, does it serve you anymore?
exactly. So let's be clear about the action. The emotion is telling you to take an action, but the action isn't to go and bite the nose off someone, or it isn't to um, take that business action out of fear or out of anger. It's to reset your energy
Yeah.
so that you can get clear on what you want. I just wanted to clarify that. But
That's beautiful because this is exactly where we are misunderstanding the words. We're taking them at a surface value sometimes and running with them. Don't take action doesn't mean that you don't do anything at
yeah,
all, or take action doesn't mean that you go and break up. Somebody got onto your nerves, you have an emotional, outburst. That's it. Fire all your clients, or I don't know. It's not about this, but it's, as you said, it's about, you know, deciding something inside, getting clarity. This is also a type of action because that makes everything, sometimes just a decision to detach is so important. Well, you just decide that you're not going to worry about something, and it's almost like everything shifts because you just made a decision. But if it's not, if it's continuing to still annoy you, right? Maybe you haven't actually made a decision. Maybe you just thought about it, but you didn't make a decision. And I know that this is, yeah.
well, that's the thing because it is what kind of action are you taking? So when you do reset your energy, that is disconnecting the emotion. That is stopping to identify with it. I remember it happening in the past. I was working with a colleague and they were driving me batty, which is nuts for any of you. They were driving me crazy. And I was there, oh my God, I'm finding it so hard to work with this person. And what I had to do was they took an action at one point and I was actually cross with them. And I said, okay, I can't talk to them from this anger position or this frustrated position. I need to ground my energy and get back in center, detach from the emotion, which is where I'm clear, and decide what do I actually want to happen here. So, do I want to dive into their, you're seeing it a lot here in America, where people are diving into oh my God, the drama, the crisis is happening, and people are fighting it and they're giving out about it and they're trying to understand why people would do this and all that stuff. But that's the drama, that's the crisis. So I sit back and go, okay, what do I actually need here? So I was able to make a clear decision and talk to that person about what I wanted to happen instead of what's wrong. Um, it's bad or good, it's right or wrong. You're doing, I got out of that conversation, blame, shame, whatever, and moved into the conversation of, look, this is where we need to go. This is what I want done. And that's how you can detach from the emotional. energy, because a lot of people are jumping into the crisis. But if you look at our design and our energy and our spiritual teaching and mental teaching, and that is, look, there can be many crises in your life, but you're not the crisis unless you're jumping in. It's like throwing in a life, it's like instead of throwing a life buoy with someone who's drowning so that you're not dying as well, the negative aspect is you dive in to save them and you both die, right? Or
Yeah.
the fireman doesn't jump into the fire. And in human relationships, the fire is the emotional energy. Where is it? And so the fireman doesn't jump into the fire. He steps back, he assesses the situation, he gets clear on what action needs to be, what does he use the hose, does he use the foam, what does he use? So that's what I'm literally describing when you step out of the emotion and how to do that. There's strategies that we can do that because with open emotion, it's tough because you can be the emotional energy in the room because you're taking it all in and amplifying it. But when you have a lovely energetic shield put around you or a bubble, you don't need to do that anymore. You realize that the open emotion person is actually the rock in the crisis. They're the stable one. So when you're stable, you become the anchor for people to get a grip, get their perspective back, get the context back, and start to see the bigger picture instead of dug into detail of what's wrong, what need. So I hope that makes sense because it
Oh,
is.
it makes for, in fact, I was just thinking how a lot of people refer to me. I have a completely open will, emotional center and will center, but emotional center. And that's exactly what happens. And, in the moments of complete crisis, I go straight to solution. I don't even have time to be emotional. And that provides that security and solidity and a clear perspective. And sometimes, and I sometimes always, maybe it's because I'm splenic, because the spleen also kicks in, and the spleen is a very primal,
Yeah,
non-emotional organ. So it just makes a decision that is, danger or not danger and where to go. And it's much easier. But yeah, it's true that you can stay away from drama when you know that you are not it doesn't come from you. You are not the drama. So even when everybody is going crazy around you, yes, it's going to affect you in terms of, like, you're going to get tired later, you're going to get affected. Like when you have openness, you get affected. There's nothing you can do about that, but you cannot identify with this. And this is really beautiful. And I just want to, before we finish, guys, I want to also notice that, or bring your notice into the fact that sometimes we can feel bad. And I look at my life, for example, and I've never bounced off good. All the good things in my life happened because I bounced off the bad. The bad as in low, misery, feeling sad, feeling bad. I don't want to do it. So I start trying to look for the way out of it. And all the beautiful things in my life actually happened out of melancholy. Melancholy is a powerful creative space where you can channel that drama into your art, into your content, into doing something. It's not always has to be, like writing. Like if you're going on a rant, for example, it might be a very good rant, but it might not be something that is valuable to put out there. But you can definitely find ways. How can you tap into the creative energy with everything that you're feeling? Just because you're feeling low doesn't mean that you can't create from it. In fact, the best art in the world and the best music in the world was born from a struggle.
absolutely. That is such a brilliant point because a lot of people are mistaking the melancholy of this circuitry for depression, and it actually isn't. I advise my clients, look, the melancholy is like the emotional non-self theme of the individual circuitry. So when you're feeling that melancholy, do self-care, take time out, really nurture yourself, and really focus on reconnecting. And because it's, as you say, when you reconnect, that's when you are in your genius. That's
That's
the
right.
whole point, right? That's when you're in your genius. And it's also the energy of, if you have this energy, you're the person who you're the spark, not the flame. So
Mm.
you ignite people to their intuitive brilliance, to their creative and abundant flow. You're not to go and jump in and do it with them, right? So it's you're the
That's a
spark.
very good point. That's actually two good points that you made about the individual circuitry, because if you understand the individual circuitry is someone who is it's self-oriented. In fact, it can make you feel like you're an outsider because it's about uniqueness, right? So what is your immediate go-to? And this is Gate 55 is a very strong individual circuitry example, right? What do you do? How do you, because you can't just sit down, like I'm feeling really weird today. I can't just sit down and write. I tried, trust me. And even I was trying to write the description for this video, right? And it just doesn't happen. But I know exactly what to do. Look after yourself. So, as you just mentioned, self-care, go for a walk, just book maybe like go to a spa center. Maybe they have a massage that you can book it. Just go have a look and do something for yourself. Because when we're talking about, you need to be creative in your business and your marketing, actually, you need to first put yourself right. The creativity follows, right? So look after yourself during that. You might have so many great ideas. And that's all that matters, because then you can do what I call the donkey work, put those ideas on piece of paper, write them down, and that's where you need discipline, which we all need. It's not about the design or not design, the discipline to implement, yes. But the ideas, the creativity, if it's an individual circuitry, individual gate, look after yourself. It's a simple, simple, simple first
So,
like go-to strategy.
so, so true. And remember that the wound that's been triggered is the wound that where you were afraid to shine.
Yes.
That you're going to be rejected if you
Yeah.
shine. That's the wound. So the sadness is because I'm not letting myself shine.
So
Sometimes it's
true.
people, but often it's ourselves. And when, it's the other point has gone out of my head, but just to be aware that's the wound that we're looking at right now. And it is about recognizing that when you're in the crisis, look at what's going on. And as we described earlier, this is what's happening in front of you. What do you want instead? What would you like to happen instead? And start focusing on what needs to be done to create another possibility. Because every possibility is a possibility. Like if you
That
stay
is
in,
true. That
you
is
know,
true. And one more last thing, and it just came, you mentioned it, but it just came to my head to just point out, we do have this channel 3536 activated by the transit. So everybody experiencing this. Why I absolutely detest this channel when it affects me. I have the 35. It's actually I think it's my design Earth 35, or even Sun. So I have a lot of that energy of 35, but when 36 creates this channel, it's like you're sitting there and you put expectations on everything. You're like, oh, and then you crash because the expectations are not met. You either feel really, really good and then suddenly you start feeling bad, or you start feeling bad and you're just escalating with this feeling of badness because you are attaching expectations. When it comes to shining, allowing to shine and that wound, these expectations, this is exactly what I feel like is happening. You're putting these expectations on yourself that, oh, I have to get into this flow, but I'm not in the flow. And then you start, resisting this and feeling bad about it. It's not a pleasant energy to deal with, trust me. So just ride the wave. Just ride
yeah,
the wave. You don't have to be that great, that, inspired right now. It's not about this. It's not, it's not an exam, but ride the wave. You might let it go and it happens. Let go of expectations. Just go with the flow. You have no idea what this energy can bring to you because it is a beautiful energy, even though you might not like the way it affects you.
it's actually miracle energy. It's the miracle of being able to step out of the crisis because when you can, that's when you're in your groove to create and also call in your angels. Calling your angels to ask them to smooth out your aura, to smooth out your space, to clear your space or whatever. Call in those spiritual helpers that allow you to find the calm. Because as Juliet said, this is bigger than us. Everybody's feeling this, right? Everybody on the planet. Everybody is feeling the sacral to the emotion center. We're being sparked. Why does it need to be war? Why can't we have peaceful solutions? And so just call in your angels and ask them to help you today or this week or every day. I say every day because I think they're for every day, but you know, it really can help when you feel that you have that support.
That's a wonderful advice. That's a wonderful advice, guys. We'll leave you with that. The help is always available. It's just a ask away. And we will see you in the next episode of Transits and Tactics.